Thank you for joining me for another episode of Behind the Mic, hosted by Wise Grisette. I'm your host, y'all, Wise Grisette, RPN community manager and podcast enthusiast. You all can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, formerly known as X. Y'all already know how I do. At The Real Wise. That's W-I-Z-E. Now, as always, I'm going to ask you all for a favor. Please subscribe to Behind the Mic wherever you listen to podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, that's Spotify, that's YouTube, wherever. Please subscribe, follow, whatever platform you want. Just do that. And then give us a 5-star rating. We really appreciate it. So this episode is part 2 of my Africon recap. So, the last episode we talked really about the opening party and then day 1 of the conference. This episode, we're going to be bringing in more of the conversation with Anna and Odessa and I. But then also, I have some more incredible interviews, including the Minister of Culture, Tourism, and the Orange Economy in Nigeria. I'm also featuring a few clips from my Mentorship Circle. And then we're going to talk about the incredible Icon Gala as well, too. So, this episode is chock full of stuff, but it's going to still be, on 30 minutes. I know how I do as well, too. So with that being said, we're going to jump into this conversation with Odessa, Anna, and I, and I'll be right back. So when I think of like the global Black community, right, 2 images come to mind, right? Ethiopia and Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I feel like no matter where you are in the world, Ethiopia and Jamaica have a strong presence, and like especially when you start thinking about like people who are really like Afrocentric, that is their root.
Yeah.
I mean, for Jamaica, I can see it's like culture, and for Ethiopia, it's like Selassie as well too. But it's like, do you all agree, disagree?
I don't know. For me, it's different. I don't see Ethiopia. I see Nigeria. I see Nigeria like. Nigerians are the business minds of Africa. Ghanaians are the intellectuals of Africa. And I think Jamaica has a bit of both in that, in the sense, they all say we're from West Africa. It's very important for me to go and do my DNA, but I have to do it somewhere in Africa. I don't want them to kind of get my stuff here. But I think it's more Nigeria. But when I went to Ethiopia, it was just a beautiful experience. It was, Africa on a whole, I just feel at home.
Yeah. Yep.
It doesn't seem, when you go, you're just going to be like, oh, this is like Barbados, man. This is like, you're going to just feel at home. You don't have to try to fit in. You're just in already.
Absolutely. I was going to say with Wise, your question, I actually do. I've seen, depending on where I have been, or even if I'm just like traveling, happen to see like a museum or something, I do see more of like like I was saying earlier, like the spiritual movements, the movements of like that inspire like revolution or just like pride. Like you'll see a lot of that. I'm also thinking with Nigeria, I just personally think Nigeria just has like a huge like digital footprint as far as like the music scene and just entertainment in general. Like everywhere I go, they're like, oh, we love this music, but not even just like the Burna Boys or the Wiz Kids, like even like the old, like, because there's like a lot of like Igbo, which is like the tribes, those like hymns, like the spiritual music and whatnot. I remember I used to listen to like a old school radio in Sierra Leone, and they were playing like me. I'm like, I know what they're saying, so I feel like just a lot of, ways in which even before our time, our parents, grandparents, where they were still able to like, learn from each other and take certain things. And it makes me think about all of like the leaders of the movements, right? In those eras, like the Lumumbas, the Sankofas and everything. Like people are able to take those stories. And even in Haiti, like just especially Haiti. Let me call out Haiti.
I was just going to say that.
Because if y'all had seen our episode with the First Gems, I took the girls back to Haiti to have a really great time. And it was just as fun as it was educational, as it was purposeful, because you just get to see history in the preservation of it. Yeah. And it just permeates through every single thing in Haitian culture, Haitian people, like daily way of life too. So I just feel like there's a lot to take away from those spaces where you feel inspired, right? So you're like, okay, let me do some research. Who are my leaders from my country of origin? And like, you might even find connections on where they maybe have learned from each other, right? Where we learned about Dr. MLK and when he took his trips back home, and Malcolm X, he took his trips back to the continent. So there's, to your point, we're all one and the same.
We're the same.
And I'm a history nerd, so I like to watch documentaries where I understand what's the point of connections here.
Yeah.
But that's helpful for us to know how to move forward too. It's this more than just like amplifying brands and doing collaboration for sponsorship, but it's also like what's the movement that we're creating that needs to happen in this day and age, and like even platforms like this, we're doing it.
Right? That's our movement starting.
That is it. Yeah.
So I'm so happy to be a part of the Revolt Podcast Network and Creators Network because it's Black, it's Black owned, it's for us, it's by us, it's our voices, and pun intended, we do need to amplify it a lot more.
Yes.
As well as African voice. All of us are Africans, but more of our voices out there. It's not just, again, entertainment and sex and gender.
Yeah.
We need more of these conversations. We need to understand why is the FBA and the ADOS thing put in place to try and divide and conquer? You know what I mean? Why these things in, and why we mustn't get triggered or react to those things. We need to just try and unite and understand each other a little bit more. It's my platform. It's something that I realized 5 years ago, this is what I'm here to do.
Yep.
And I'm not going to stop everybody understands that we're all Africans.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, y'all, as you can see, the theme of this episode and the theme of this conference really is around building community, whether that's being a mentor, being a mentee, being around your peers, whatever that looks like. And for me, one of the most incredible experiences that I had, not only was I at this conference, but I also was a host for a mentorship circle. So PAYA, the Professional Association of Young Africans, hosted mentorship circles where we were able to provide insight on our interests, our hobbies, our skills, our professions to mentees who wanted to be a part of our mentorship circle. And for me, my mentorship circle, of course, was around podcasting and building communities around podcasting itself. So I loved my mentorship circle. It was more than what I thought it would be, to be quite honest. I had about 9 people at my particular circle itself. And you're actually going to hear about a few of them and some of their podcast ideas and forays into the podcasting space. So without further ado, let's actually jump into that so we can learn more about some of the people who did come to the mentorship circle and the podcast that they would actually launch if they were launching podcasts.
Hi, my name is Gigi. I am originally from Haiti, but I'm based in Orlando. I consider myself a solo traveler, so I definitely will want my podcast to focus on diaspora talk with people that I meet across. That when you solo travel, you meet other solo travelers, or maybe someone with a group of friends. So the podcast focus will be just about having conversation with different cultures and just the traveling world in general, and just to get input of the country and in a way to invite more people to travel and connect and not be afraid to just go towards the world alone, because there is community in every single aspect.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura McCullum. I am a TV development executive, actress, and host. And I really want my podcast to bridge the gatekeeping gap between industry insight and the TV and film industry and allow people to see themselves and all the creativity that they do.
Hi, it's Rutendo Nyamwada from the Podcast Sessions magazine. We're a community for podcasters. We focused on the Pan-African space for the longest time, but our biggest dream is to actually bridge the gap between the diaspora, people in the US, the UK, Asia, across the world, and just building that podcast community.
Weren't their ideas so good? I did have so much opportunity to just meet so many people who were involved and just excited about podcasting. And that's not to say that I'm not generally around people who are excited for podcasting, but I could tell that my mentees really understood the value and the opportunity that was actually available using this incredible industry and this incredible technology for storytelling. So I cannot wait. I hope that you all do release these podcasts. And if you do, make sure that you all send them to me. Okay. So not only, again, did I have this incredible experience, but there was a vendor market. And at the vendor market, we had access to tons of just incredible talents. Jackie Aina was there. The main sponsor, Fidelity Bank, was there with their representatives. But then also, I had the incredible honor, I want to stress that, because it's very rare for a podcaster to have the opportunity to interview a minister of another country. But I had the incredible, again, one more time, opportunity to interview the Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and the Creative Economy for the Federation of Nigeria, Minister Hannatu Musa Musawa. We had limited time together, but I made sure to ask all the right questions, y'all, specifically around the creative economy, also known as the orange economy, and what she plans to do with this new ministry of hers.
So thank you very much for having me. My name is Barrister Hannatu Musa Musawa, the Minister of Art, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we also have an orange economy. You know, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, government has now set up a ministry. The orange economy in Nigeria has grown organically on its own. So you can see in terms of the music, the Nollywood, with the fashion, with the gastronomy, with the art scene as well. Nigeria has done very, very well, but government has not really structured it properly. So it's just recently, in the last 2 years, that administration has set up a ministry that now looks to put the parameters and the framework in place that will allow that orange economy to grow in the same way, for example, it has done so in Jamaica. Jamaica was one of the benchmark countries that I use in terms of looking at what government needed to do to grow on the creative economy. So certainly we do have a vibrant orange economy, and with the frameworks that we're putting in place, the strategies, the initiatives that we're putting in place coming out of the interrogation that we did, benchmark countries such as Jamaica and South Korea, and Mexico with the tourism industry, and even what Saudi Arabia is doing now, and Dubai, UAE for example. Definitely we will have a more structured sort of economy for the orange economy, and now for the tourism economy as well. I think, well, the first thing is really to be very intentional from government to government in making those connections. I think it is very important wherever we're going in terms of the partnerships that we're doing between the countries to have a government to government understanding. So we are actively signing MOUs with the different governments because it makes it easier for the industry players in both countries to work together if you know that there's an understanding and a partnership and a direction.
If you all notice, there's one theme that is consistent throughout just my recap and the whole experience overall. And that theme is the fact that we are building for a better tomorrow. And that better tomorrow starts with these conversations. It starts with conferences like this. And it starts with the planning and preparation. And yes, like the minister said, signing memorandums, signing MOUs so that we all understand how industry players can play in this space to solidify and industrialize a community and economy that could really grow in the 21st century. Now, to cap the night off, we had the Icon Gala. It's actually two events that they had. So Amplify Africa had Africon, and 1 year, instead of doing Africon, they did the Icon Gala. And here in Atlanta, they merged the two events together. So the Icon Gala was beautiful. Me and my friends, we went dressed to the nines, and everyone else came with the same idea. So to sum the night up, everything was magical. And again, like I said, I was there with my friend. So Sofi the Oddity, who was doing red carpet interviews, actually ended up interviewing Anna. So we're going to throw to that audio real quick. And when we come back, I'm going to give you all my final thoughts on Africon and whether I'll be back in 2026.
Oh my gosh. I was just saying the other time, it feels like the Avengers at the end. When everybody comes together, yes. And this is just the manifestation of months of preparation. As a community manager on the Amplify Africa team, this is like nothing short of a miracle. With all the representation from the Caribbean, shout out to Barbados, shout out to Haiti, shout out to Jamaica, to our own Nigerians, Ghanaians. I met some folks from the Congo here, South Africa is here. So it is just amazing to see the diversity, the beauty of the diaspora. And it's just like, this is more than what I had anticipated to happen. So I'm super excited.
As someone in the diaspora, what is one advice you would have for anyone on the continent or even in the diaspora about investing back home?
Yes, go back home first. Go travel. With the First Gems, we have travel recap footage. So we're all about being fly coastal. Go back home.
Fly coastal.
Yes, we coined that, girl. So we got to be fly coastal. So that means go home, go touch the ground, connect with people, get back with your roots, like really invest in the people as much as you are about to put your pocket and some money into something, right? So it's just more than showing up and partying, but it's getting to know the people on the ground, understanding what initiatives are pressing, top issues. I'm a public health girl with a background, so we do things for a cause, right? So it's always important to know your why. And I think the best way to do that is to go back home and see your family and understand your lineage, where you're coming from and where you're headed.
Period. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you.
And we're back, y'all. Again, thank you for listening to this whole series. Just 2 episodes, but this recap of Africon 2025. Y'all, Africon 2026 will not miss me, okay? Hopefully it's still in Atlanta because I will definitely drive down again. But if it's somewhere else, I'll definitely consider it because it was an incredible experience and I absolutely would go back and would recommend anyone who is considering just looking to grow out their network in the African diaspora, this is the place to do it. You heard it here first. With that being said, I want to thank you all for listening to this episode of Behind the Mic, hosted by Wise Grisette. I'm your host, Wise Grisette. You all can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, formerly known as X, at The Real Wise. Again, internationally known on the microphone as Wiz, Wizzy, and Wise. And I'm out, y'all. I'll catch you on the next episode. Behind the Mic, hosted by Wise Grisette, is powered by Offscript Podcast Network. Special thanks to the Indie Creative Network and Storytime Studios for editing and producing this podcast.